Welcome to Good News Chat, the real estate edition. Today's episode, I welcome my guest, Brian Kirk, the Oklahoma Landman, and we're going to talk all about farm and ranch. Welcome to Good News Chat, the real estate edition, where real estate agents come together around a virtual table just to talk about what's going on in their business, what's working, how to improve or enhance their business and their life. I'm Lisa Creed, your Good News Coach, and in the weeks ahead, I am going to be sharing with you I'm going to invite some of the best leaders, some of the best influencers, and experts in their niche. I'm going to invite these people to come and have a conversation around our virtual table on a whole lot of topics, including how to break into the luxury market, best practices for building a team, maybe marketing to your sphere. We're going to talk with some experts about why and how personal development is so very, very important, and it will help both your life and your business. And a lot of people don't realize that, but I love to talk about personal development. But today I'm very excited. We're going to interview an expert in farm and ranch properties. With more than 25 years in real estate, my friend has sold thousands and thousands of acres all across Oklahoma. And he has a passion for farm and ranch like nobody else I've ever known. A few years ago, we started chatting about how to build a team and expand his reach. And I was so excited to meet him, and I am so excited for you to get to meet him. Today, we're going to talk all about the land in Oklahoma and how to break into that market, what that looks like. So would you please welcome my friend, Brian Kirk, the Landman, the Oklahoma Landman, Brian Kirk. Hey, Brian, how are you? I think maybe I still had you on mute. There we go. I got you. Come on, just a little bit.
Okay.
There we go. You got it. Welcome.
You
Thank
got
you
it.
for being here today.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we're doing the Good News Chat Real Estate Edition, and you are the very first.
All right.
How about that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me.
Yeah, absolutely. I am excited today. We're going to talk a lot about land and farm and ranch and all the different ways, all the different things. But before we do that, would you share a little bit about you, your bio, your history, and how you came to land in farm and ranch?
I was raised on a little farm in Haskell, Oklahoma, and my grandpa was a sharecropper in the hay business, and so I learned all about hauling hay and all that good stuff. My grandfather passed away when I was in sixth grade, and so my dad and I continued from there with cattle and farming, and I learned how to drive a tractor when I was about knee high to a grasshopper. And so it went from there to, raising the cattle. I helped my dad and stuff and continued with raising crops and cattle until I graduated from high school, and then went on and did other things. And then I got to the horse business, and I've been in the horse business a little over 30 years.
Okay.
So I
What
went
does
from
that
cattle
mean?
to
You've been in the
horses.
horse business. What have you done?
Well, I raised and trained Missouri Foxtrotters for a little over 20 years. And then I had a baby girl born, and she wanted that speed on the barrel racing. And so we got into barrel horses, and just that's how she and I bonded and traveled and continued my love, for the farm animals and so on and so forth. And now we've still got the horses, and she's married, and they've got cattle and horses and met on the rodeo team. So it's our family.
Yeah.
I mean, the farm, the horses, the ranching
Tables.
is all a family ordeal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So it's not just something that you just looked into and went, hey, I'm kind of interested in that. Maybe I'll
No,
go learn it.
no, it was one of those things that I didn't go to college. And so this is my 42nd year in sales, but my 27th year in real estate.
Wow.
And it was one of those things that I had the love for the land. And it's just, they say that, if you don't make a job, make it fun.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things I could go out on the side by side and talk to people and express to them. They could see it and feel it,
Hmm.
in me that was what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy what you're doing to express it on to your clients.
Yeah. I perfectly agree. That's exactly right. If it's not a part of who you really are, then it becomes sales,
You bet.
you
You
know.
bet.
And then that's really, it's not fun for long. It can be fun
No,
for a while,
no,
but it can't be
no.
fun for long.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
yeah. Well, I love that. Well, thanks for sharing that with us about
You bet.
your background and all that. I don't think it takes anybody very long at all to know that you're authentic cowboy and with your radio voice. And so tell us a little bit about that. I know you've had a little background in the radio as well and
I
commercials.
I come out of high school and was play with radio, and then went on from there to be a DJ back in the urban cowboy days.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and it just didn't pay much money,
Yeah.
but that was, as they say, that was the good old days. Then I had to
Yeah.
get a real job,
Yeah.
and so that's when I got into sales
Yeah.
and
Well, it makes the
sales
perfect
everything.
combo. It's a killer combo for you to
Sure,
have the
sure.
radio voice and the
You bet.
personality.
Also,
Yeah.
right. Auctioneer. I got an auctioneer license the same time I got my real estate license.
Oh, yeah.
And we just kind of blended it together, and the auctioneering, it was fun. I
Yeah.
mean, you gotta have that fun mixed in there.
Yeah.
And so like I said, it's a lot of it was fun.
Yeah.
Um, and then, but like I said, the real estate had to pay the bills.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and what I've always enjoyed and loved about real estate is that there's no ceiling. There's no ceiling
Right,
on it. I
right,
am my own ceiling, right? And so,
right.
um, if I want to give myself a raise, then I'm going to have to
Yeah.
either probably learn something new or
Right.
expand my reach or my influence or
Sure.
something. But there's no
Sure.
ceiling on my
That's right.
achievement. So that's
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 right.
always been my favorite thing. Besides being able to, which we were talking about earlier, besides being able to do our own thing when we want to do it, being in charge of your day.
Right.
Right. So it's the benefit of being self-employed. So I love
Right.
that. So, well, okay. Well, let's get down to I know there's
All
going to
right.
be probably maybe later on because people are going to watch this on the replay for sure. And they're going to have questions, but I think we're going to cover, I wanted you to kind of cover those things that are the nuts and bolts or the tools of your
Right.
trade of being in farm and ranch or the landman, and how if you can kind of share with us those 5 things that or more, whatever, that are the tools that you have used that come up all the time for you, things that are important about knowing what we need to know about farm and ranch.
Lisa, it's one of those things that we always say that when our parents have phrases that we'll never, say that. But, I've always heard my dad talk about you better know the difference between Bermuda grass and Johnson grass.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing in this business.
So
You
true.
get a call from Colorado, you get a call from the East Coast, whatever. You better know what you're talking about to those people, because if you come out as uneducated about this, they're going to go to somebody else.
Yeah,
And
it's a
same
huge
thing
liability,
as
right?
you bet, you bet. And the same thing as looking for cattle property or horse property or whatever, and you show them mountains,
Right.
that my horses don't walk on rocks,
Mhm.
And so anyhow, that's the big thing. But we go back, I've got about 6 things here real fast.
Mm-hmm.
The very first thing is that you show them that property and they say, hey man, I love it. Let's write a contract. You better know your
You
contracts
better know which one to
because
use, right?
that's right. That's right. Because again, just because I have the years doesn't mean that I'm educated in these subjects like I should be. So the company that I work for has a farm and ranch and land group called the Select Land Group.
Mm-hmm.
And we have classes that we go over these things to help keep us educated in the newest contracts, the
Because things
newest things.
change, and
And
yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
sure. And that's the thing is that we had a class this week or last week on land contracts. Well, so you better know, is it vacant land? Is it, farm and ranch? Is it recreational? What is it? Because each one of those brings its own contract.
Oh,
And so that's one of the biggest tools in my belt, is knowing or having or whatever that right contract.
right.
And so a lot of agents are uneducated, they just don't know that there is these certain contracts.
Yeah,
And so, and I'm going to skip from there to mineral rights. Okay.
that's a big
That's
one.
one of that, as you and I have talked before, mineral rights will get you in court faster than a divorce. And anyhow, because you better know, are you selling that customer of yours mineral rights? Are you, if you're working with the buyer, is he going to get mineral rights? Because I'll guarantee you one thing, when it comes time to dig for coal or whenever somebody down the road
Water.
hits oil
Yeah.
or gas or water or whatever, you bet they're going to say, did I have those mineral rights? I told you I wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
So those mineral rights are in that contract. So you better make sure, like I said, that you understand that
Yeah.
contract enough to know, did I cross it out? Did they even own mineral rights?
Right.
Did that seller even own them?
That's
But
what I would
yeah,
always
that's
come
a
across
great
in
thing.
our Texas
So
contracts. That's how, if
yes,
you don't
yes,
own it, if you
that's
didn't
right.
own it in the
That's
first
right.
place, you can't convey those rights.
You
So,
bet.
and a
You
lot of
bet.
places where in Texas, because I know there's going to be people listening from across the country,
Right.
and all contracts are different, but specifically in a mineral rights addendum or
Mhm.
whatever, that's
Mhm.
going to cover, and you may say, I'm keeping these rights,
Right.
or you may say, I'm conveying this part of them.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
but if you didn't own them to begin with, you cannot convey them to a
You
buyer.
bet. You
And so
bet.
how do you deal with that? How do you, when you get
So
down, how do you find out if you really own them? Who owns
a
them?
lot of people, like you said, I mean, inherited from grandma and grandpa
Right.
or whatever, and they have no idea. They're not willing to pay, for, below the surface
Mhm.
abstracting or title policies. So basically a lot of them will just say, I'm going to convey whatever I have.
Right.
Okay. And then it's up to that buyer to spend the money
To
and
go,
check it out
you
to
know,
see how
yeah,
much they're gonna get. You bet.
get a landman or something who
Uh,
would
so yeah,
research
yes, and
all of
you're
that.
correct. There is companies, there's
Yeah.
land companies that
That
and
will,
stuff that can go in and research that for
as
you.
far
They'll
back as they
see,
can. I
you
mean,
bet, you bet.
but
You bet. They'll sit in a courthouse and stuff and go through the county clerk or whatever records to
right.
be able to research that for that buyer or the seller.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, what are some of the other tools that you
All right. Then
contracts?
let's just say that Mr. Smith brings you out and is talking to you and basically interviewing you. And he says, how can you sell my property? Well, you've told him, hey, I know, that you got good prairie grasses. I know you got a hay meadow. I got these things, but how do I teach other people? Now that's where it comes in to that when I started, we had a little newspaper, you know, and now people sit in their pajamas at 11 o'clock at night with the computer or whatever and see the advertising or whatever.
Hmm.
That's something that I really enjoy. And I've got a team. I've got a guy that was with ABC for 27 years. He comes out, he knows how to bring the drone, he knows how to shoot the right pictures, the
Hmm.
4D imagery, everything, because nowadays it's all about internet. And so
Sure.
we want those people, in the different areas or whatever to pull it up and say, oh my word, I feel like I'm right there.
Mhm.
I've had sellers say, man, I'd buy my place all over again because I didn't realize it looked like that.
Right.
So you want to have that right marketing, and so many people don't understand that there is websites for the big land deals, for the different types of land
Right.
deals, because I know that let's just say, Bob Brown has got three boys and they're not going to raise a cow, they're not going to have a horse, but they've got that Can-Am, they've got the dirt bikes, that's what he wants his life to be, is that bond with his boys and
Hmm.
stuff, and they have that thrill of riding the Can-Ams or the dirt bikes or whatever. So they want to look at the recreational land because that's what they have for that. Or they might be deer hunters or turkey
Right.
hunters or whatever,
So
or
you
the
got to be
pond.
able to match
You
what
bet.
that, to
Yes.
be able to have a conversation with someone deep enough to know this is what's going to
Correct.
be important to you. So this is kind of what you're looking for in a land
You
deal
bet.
instead
You
of
bet.
you don't need this with a one big meadow and a
No, I'm not going to take a Kodak camera and stand in the middle of 160 acres and take pictures, and put it out there when I've got
or
a
your phone.
450,000
Your phone,
or my
take a picture
phone.
on
Yeah.
your phone.
Well, right. When I've got a $500,000 deal, I'm going to bring out the right tools and everything to make sure that when somebody sees that, they're educated,
Yeah,
and
that's
they
good.
can see it all. And so many people today, they don't call that realtor or whatever in the beginning.
Mhm.
They get on internet and
Mhm.
start pulling these things up.
Sure.
And then they proceed to that realtor, to get additional information. Because, like I said, people are educated today. And so they know what they're looking for.
Mhm.
They know, like fish. Let's just say that it has 4 ponds. Well, does it have fish? What kind of fish? Does it have wildlife, and stuff? And so again, you want to make sure that you have that in your marketing, and tell them we're this far from an interstate, we're this far from an airport. It's all about, the thing with families, about the traveling, the time. I
Yeah.
mean, parents only have so much time and stuff. So, like I said, when it comes to marketing, you want to make sure that if you're that listing agent, that you take care of your client and you
Mhm.
market it. As I tell people when I walk in, I'm second to none in marketing.
Mhm.
And our company has a listing uh, brochure that my bio's inside of it, properties that I've sold inside of it, my websites, my drones, my whatever is in there. Then we go to another subject, and when they walk through that, when they finish, I have finished my interview. I mean, they can see everything I'm going to do from them from start to finish
Yeah, I
with
think
that
it makes a
listing.
difference with sellers these days. They're starting to ask. I mean,
You bet. You bet.
how are you going to sell this? And if you don't even
Correct.
know who the
Correct.
target buyer is for that property
Right.
because of what the purpose of the land is, then it's probably you're not going to also know how to market
Right.
the
You
property.
bet. You
So
bet.
that kind of always goes back to your knowledge uh,
Right.
and your
Right.
competency in
Right. You bet.
in your niche, knowing that.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, well, tell us a little bit about I know that there are going to be agents watching going, well, I thought I wanted to be in farm and ranch,
Yeah.
but I don't know. There's a lot to learn.
There
How does
is.
somebody
There is.
break into, I mean, let's say somebody has been, has a
Right.
heart for, has a passion for farm and ranch or
Mhm.
horses or
Right.
livestock or just land,
You bet.
how do you break, how does an agent get in?
Lisa, that's a good question because some of the people in our organization that are in our land group, and that are big agents in there,
Mhm,
they lived in town.
mhm,
And they were raised there, but that wasn't where their love was.
mhm.
And it goes back to that love. If I didn't love what I was doing, I couldn't
Sure.
sell it. you know and so that love, they have gone through the years by learning, and being around people. I mean, I surround myself with educated people.
Mhm.
And whether it be on my team or whether it be, at a livestock show or whatever, I gave away a trophy buckle the other day to a kid that won grand champion steer. And I told him, I said, 47 years ago, I won that same thing, and
Awesome.
so I said, that just gives you something to look for, I still have that love. I
Mhm.
mean, for those animals, whether it be cattle or horses or whatever.
Yeah.
It just gives me something to, my family is very related right now. But
Mhm.
growing up, I was very cattle related. I was never a
Okay.
hunter. I was never a fisherman, none of the above. But I've got a guy on my team that is one of the best, when it comes to trees and bushes and fish and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And boom, I call him and he helps me, if I need to be educated
Mhm.
on that subject. And so that's another thing is, like I said, surround yourself.
Mhm.
Our team is built with people that specialize in certain
Yeah.
things.
That's
And
good. I
so
like that.
we work together to make it stronger, because
Mhm.
that way we can tell a lister,
Mhm.
or whatever, hey, this guy here, man, he knows about your pond and your soil and all
Mhm.
this, and he works with me on my team. I've got these people over here, man, they know the paints, the carpets, and all that kind of stuff. We can
Yeah.
help you get your home ready. Um, you know, that's how we work uh,
Or
with
the
each other.
lake or the
And
homesteader or
you bet,
who just
you
wants a
bet.
second, a place to go take the kids
Exactly. We
and
come in
get on
strength.
the six wheelers. Yeah.
We're strong because of that.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, I'll never know about fish, I'll never know about bushes, but I learn it from somebody.
Yeah.
And I try to store whatever that I can, but don't expect to be a specialist, you know,
Right.
right off. I mean,
That's
if
good.
you're interested in it, get with somebody,
Yeah.
talk to them, you know, look at your video, look at listings. I
Yeah.
mean, go on to some of your farm and land sites and look at those listings and things and how people do it. And if you're not willing to put your heart and soul into it,
Mm.
then you probably don't need to get into
It's
it,
probably not a good
because
fit. Mhm.
no, no, because again, you know, um, I'll be honest, I'm not somebody that talks about houses, unless it's sitting in the middle of 80 acres,
Yeah.
and I just didn't have that love back in the day.
Yeah.
And so that was when I made that decision to get into something that I liked.
Sure.
And so I've been fortunate over the years, to have been successful at it.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, I love teaching it. I love talking about it. Again, if it's okay, I'm gonna switch to another
Yeah.
tool,
Go. You do
um,
it. Mhm.
which is financing. Um, again, you're not gonna take John Brown and show him 160 acres if he isn't, capable of
With a
paying for it.
regular old mortgage, right?
Exactly. So today's times, we don't show properties all day long and say, oh yeah, I need to know, can you buy it?
Yeah.
Today's times, we ask up front, I want to see your pre-qualification. I want to see a proof of funds or whatever. And
Mhm.
I may ask him, do you mind if I call your guy? Because again, in the farm and ranch industry, we don't have you can do some places FHA, VA,
Sure.
whatever, but it isn't like that house,
Right.
I mean,
Not your
there's
traditional
certain
mortgage
things,
route. Mhm.
exactly. There's certain things that won't qualify. And so I want to make sure as a listing agent that that person has the right qualification to buy my seller's property.
Mhm.
And so, and if they, let's just say they call me, I start talking financing up front
You're gonna
and I
know.
send them to somebody. Exactly.
Yeah, you're
I
gonna know
send them
by
to
the
somebody.
answers that they give,
You
who are
bet.
you
You bet.
financing through? You're
You
gonna know
bet.
pretty quick.
Right. And it's not your, so many people say, well, I'm a member of the
Something, something credit
uh
union.
credit union. There you go. Thank you. I'm a
Mhm.
member of the credit union. Well, that probably won't work. We probably want to send you down here to an agricultural bank,
Mhm.
a ag credit bank, agricultural bank, and those boys talk the same language.
Yeah.
They understand chicken houses. I mean, has gotten to be a big thing, egg houses. So
Mhm.
they understand those things. And there's certain things that qualify or not.
Yeah.
Uh, and so
Those are all those little
financing,
specific
oh, you bet.
nuances
You
that
bet.
people need to know. So,
Exactly.
if I'm not a new agent, but if I'm trying to
Mhm.
break into out and here, I'm going to point blank ask you this question because I
You
know
bet.
you can always tell me the truth.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
a brand new agent and they don't
Mhm.
have any experience in real
Right.
estate or farm and ranch or anything,
Right.
are they going to be probably a good fit for farm and ranch? Jump right in.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
But I think
They,
if they do have a passion for that or they came from that background, then they
right.
already understand some of the jargon, then I think,
Yes. Yes.
that might be somebody that you would invest time and
Yes.
attention in.
Correct. Correct.
We
I would
always
never
say,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
would never deter. I mean, if they show me a love, if they show me a passion,
Mm,
for any of this, I'm
mhm.
going to bring myself because again, it's one of those things that my son-in-law, for example, I, I see myself in my son-in-law because he was raised like I was raised. I
Mhm.
mean, on that farm, I mean, 24/7, whatever. So I see it. I mean, as my daddy always said, I've been your age before. Okay. Same thing. I've been where these guys or ladies and stuff have been when they get that real estate license. What do I do now?
Mhm.
I mean,
Exactly.
and so you get with a company, a office, a person, whatever, and you pick their brain, you learn it, hey, can I hang out with you? Can I go on a showing with you? Can I,
That's
what
so
classes?
valuable. Not every agent will
Oh, you
do that.
bet.
I was telling
No,
somebody
no, no.
today I was just talking about when I got into real estate,
Mhm.
the mentor that I
Sure.
picked, she was so experienced and I
Mhm.
knew her outside of real estate
Right.
beforehand. So I thought, hey, we're already kind of friends. And
You
so
bet. You bet.
she was like, I don't do that. I don't do that.
Right.
And then I
Right.
pushed my way in
Right. I'm with
and
you.
made her mentor me. And then we
Sure.
became really good friends. But I
Sure.
had a passion to learn. And here's what I always
You
tell
bet.
people is that if you are willing to admit that you don't know everything and that you got things
Mm.
to learn, then I can
Right.
probably help you.
You bet.
But
And you
if
know
you
what, Miss
think
Lisa, that's how you and I, bounce.
connected,
I mean,
yeah,
is that you were the specialist in your area and you helped me so much with marketing, with the different things,
yeah,
because I had the want and I was hungry
right.
to learn that. I knew, kind of where I was at with my farm and ranch sales, but I was hungry to learn more
About
in the
marketing.
marketing.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yes,
were.
and
Yeah,
and to
you
the, and
were.
I
That was
still, and I'm going to speak up. I've got, as we said earlier, I have a team, the BK team,
yeah,
and it isn't just the realtors. I have two assistants that work with our team.
right.
One girl does nothing but social media. All right, every day. The other girl, licensed realtor, right, she's my right hand, she's the right hand of our team and stuff, and she helps us with contracts, she helps us with all this other.
Yeah,
So again, we all come together, and learn, because am I a contract guy? Nah, not really. Am I a computer guy? No way. you know I want to be out there in the middle of that 160 acres.
Right.
You know,
That's what
I
we
want
got
to
to
be
make Brian do
talking.
every
You
day.
bet. I want to talk to those people. You know, I don't want to email you. I don't want to text you. Talk to me, you know, and stuff. Because again, you can ask me questions that way that I can help. I may not understand that email, I may not understand that text, you know, but we can get to the information you want, you know, through talking and learning. And it's the same way with a new agent. I
Sure.
mean, they're going to ask the questions, and I want to put them in the right spot. And again, the company that I'm with now, we have those spots. I mean,
Sure.
whether it's commercial, residential, farm and ranch,
Yeah.
whatever. I
Opportunity.
mean,
Yeah.
where they can learn, you know,
I
and
think it's great as the owner of your team, as the head of your team, that I mean, I know when we first started talking about building your team,
right,
it was really important, and it's still coming through loud and clear, is that
right,
they need to know what they're doing, but I'm willing
sure,
to help them learn it.
you
And
bet,
there's a
you bet.
process I talk about in coaching a lot, is there's
Mhm.
the hands on, hands in, and then hands off, right?
Right,
When if I go into something learning about farm and ranch or learning about the luxury market, or I need to know that I'm going to come in and I need somebody to be hands on
you
with me.
bet,
I can't just be
you
turned
bet.
loose. That'd be liability nightmare.
Right.
And so, but I can be if somebody would be hands on with me and then kind of hands in, if you will. I'm
Sure,
here
sure,
available for you. That
sure.
I want you to be able to then eventually be hands off and run
Right,
under the umbrella of the group, right?
right. You bet,
Yeah.
you bet.
And so, but there's such a power in the niche. And
Right,
even within what I've always admired about your team has been that you are, first of all, not afraid to bring another person in and go, here, this is what you love, then go do that. If this is what you are
right,
all about, then great, go do that.
right,
And so,
right.
because there are so many aspects of land, and that whole, I mean, there's not just land, there's so many
Right.
different avenues that people
You
can,
bet.
you've already talked about several of them, but there's a whole lot more,
Exactly.
and so and then there's within that, then there are area specialties, because
Right.
I might know land all around Muskogee, Oklahoma, but if you put me in a different county or in a different area, it's not unusual, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's maybe not unusual for agents to work a wide scope when they're
Mhm.
doing land. I mean, which is why when you were talking about residential earlier,
That, Lisa,
uh-huh,
it, the only thing I see on that though is you want to know your market.
yeah,
Okay. And I I don't I don't go around the Tulsa area. I mean, I stay more small town rural, you know, because that's what I
mhm,
know. That's where I was raised. And so I don't get into the commercial land, you know,
mhm,
to where they're going to build a shopping center on it. And
right,
that land, you know, is worth so much a foot. You know,
right,
I remember I remember going to Branson when I was 12 years old, and they sold it by the acre, you
yeah,
know. And then when I was whatever age, it was per square foot, you
sure,
know. And now they even lease that land to put a shopping center on.
sure,
So you're getting into a whole nother deal, but you're
a
still talking
whole other
about land,
category,
you
yeah,
know. So yes, I mean it's one of those things, as I was talking about, you know, my recreation guy, you know, it's a different thing for the recreation deal versus farm and ranch,
mhm,
pecan orchards, you know, things like that, apple orchards.
right,
It's a whole different thing. So
yeah,
yes, you can get into all these different things. You know, I'm seeing travel trailer rental places now,
mhm,
and so it's just something that you just kind of have to have that outlook, you know, and you don't have to be a cowboy. You don't have to be a farmer. You don't have to be
right,
any of those things, because there's so many different avenues that I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, for sure. So what I was going to say earlier was that in
Mhm.
residential real estate, my buyer, might take me, I might spend 2 hours or three, maybe top showing them several houses, right?
Right,
For a day. But in farm and ranch, I might spend several hours or several
right,
days
right,
on showing them property because
correct.
of how much different the showing, if you will, goes, right? You
Yes,
load up your side by side and go drive a property, and then you have to load that up, take it somewhere
right.
else, and
You bet.
it's a
You
it's
bet.
a whole thing. So,
You
the
bet.
way you even spend your time preparing to decide which properties that you're going to show and not show.
Right.
I mean, it's all
It,
totally different. It's
and
just
that right. And
different.
Lisa, that leads into another tool, which is mapping.
Okay.
I mean, again, back in the day, you would have a printout,
Yep.
of off your multi list or your tax records or whatever, and here it is. Well, nowadays it's on your phone, it's on your laptop, whatever, coming from. I mean, some people have Google Earth,
Yeah.
but we have different mapping tools that we can draw out that piece of property. I can go in and circle a pond. I can tell them how big the pond is. I
Hmm.
can tell them what types of soil it is, things like
Yeah,
that.
that's
So, I
really
mean,
cool.
mapping is such a large tool now.
Mm.
I mean, that there's this one uh, different mapping tool I have, got a little blue dot. If we're out there driving around in the side by side, that little blue dot is going around so they can see, am I on the north side, south side, west, east? Where am
Right.
I at, on this, and especially in recreational land, because there's so many trees and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But, it's just the same thing as if I'm marketing it,
Uh-oh. There
where
you are.
people
Sorry, it
can,
froze up for just a second, but go
oh,
ahead.
but where people can see, that mapping part when they're looking at the
Yeah,
property.
that's huge. I think that, I mean, just like for instance, in residential, the equivalent of that would be a walkthrough tour or
Correct.
the floor plans and
Get
all of those
very,
kinds
very
of,
much so.
yeah, the
You
eye
bet.
guide. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
bet.
it's all, you got to really find the tools that will help your client the
You
most.
bet. You bet.
And those are all your tools in your toolbox,
You
like you said.
bet. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, those are great. So, okay. So if you were, let's say, if Brian, the landman, was looking for a new agent to add to your team, is it an area that you're looking for somebody? Um, who would be your best next hire? Who would you
It
love
would be
to join?
somebody, yeah, area
Yep.
is big. Um, Knowledge is one. Am I gonna say no? I'm not interested because you were raised in downtown Tulsa? No, not necessarily.
Right.
But if that person again was an FFA, 4-H, whatever growing up, they can talk, the different things. I mean, and they might be from a little old town of 800 people,
Yeah.
but that's how they were raised. They know those things.
Mhm.
And so that's more of the ones that possibly will succeed,
Mhm.
more because they're not playing catch up. I
Sure.
mean, they understand to be able to talk to people about that. But again, that other person that has the heart, the want to, and everything else can get out here and learn it. It's just going to take them longer.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Well, who
and
are
and I
you
and then, like I
looking for?
said, I'm probably looking for that person that was raised in that 800
Mhm.
population town,
Yeah. Mhm.
that knew what time he better be home at night,
Yeah. What
and
areas?
was
Do you
and
have
like,
any specific areas that you're looking for? I want somebody to hear this
Lisa,
and
I
go,
really don't. I mean, I'm in northeastern Oklahoma.
mm-hmm,
Um, And again, I would love, that person to either be a farm and ranch person or be a recreational guy. And
Yeah.
because in Oklahoma, we've got southeastern Oklahoma that's got hills and it's growing, down in Ho Chi Town. I mean,
Yeah.
down by the Texas border. I mean, that's wide open. I mean, the cabins down there are sold like crazy to the Texas people, you know. Uh, we're seeing people coming from different states to Oklahoma
Hmm.
because our taxes are cheaper, our land's less expensive,
Hmm.
things like that. It's clean. We've got lakes all around us that I didn't even realize growing up. So we have so much to offer, and that person you're talking about could be experienced in recreational farm and ranch,
Hmm. The
commercial,
lake.
whatever. And I'm sure open, to talk to them. And if they don't fit, I'll be glad to be that mentor or that
Yeah.
helper. I've got a couple of guys that call me twice a week,
Yeah.
but again, I'm the same way. I'm on that phone calling somebody that knows about another part that
Sure.
will help me in my listing or my sale.
Yeah.
So you bet we're always open. We always, we sure need other team members, and we're seeing it. Again, I was here in '05 when we bit the dirt and the tough got tougher,
Yeah.
and I think we're headed there again. So the tools that I told you, you better have those tools and
Yeah.
stuff to be prepared of what's coming. And the thing is, don't say I can't do it, because you can. I
Yeah.
mean,
Because you might
you,
have
you
to.
you can do it if you want to. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
want to and you have that want and that love, you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a very competitive person, and I love when somebody else says, "Well, I don't think I can do it anymore." Hey, you send me your customers, I'll take care of them.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're always here for somebody.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know as we wrap up our time together, I just want to say thank you again
Yes, ma'am.
for agreeing to share your experience. All of the insight that you've shared has been awesome. And I hope that if someone is out there in Oklahoma looking for a place to break into farm and ranch, maybe it is part of who you are, and you will
Yeah,
contact. I'm going to put Brian's contact information here. I'll share that with you. And then again, at the end of this video, we'll have all of his contact information for you to be able to contact him and maybe connect. And if that's a good fit, then
you bet.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I would
Miss
love for
Lisa, I
that.
appreciate you. You
Yeah.
bet. I appreciate you. I mean, for allowing me to come on here. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
it's been a ball.
Yeah. Good, good, good. Well, again, everybody, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of Good News Chat, the real estate edition. And I will hopefully see you guys on the next video. That's a wrap.